Hello and welcome back to the Arch Linux installation deep dive video series. So in the last video in this series, we have finally got to the point where our new Arch Linux installation is able to boot up by itself. So we went through all the installation guide and now we got a installed Arch Linux in our virtual machine, or if you are following me and installing it on a real computer, then you also have a working Arch Linux installation on your computer, but that is kind of a very bare bones, just like the skeleton of a Linux system there, and well, we need to take a few further steps to make our system useful. And so in today's episode we are going to take our first steps after the installation, such as connecting to the internet, and we will be also dealing with the user management. So we will be doing our first boot on our system after installing Arch Linux. And so if we take a look at the installation guide, of course this is the guide we have followed, and in the last step we have the bootloader installation, which we have finished, and we already tested with a reboot that our bootloader works. And now we are going to the post-installation phase. And so in today's video we are going to connect to the internet, update the system if necessary, and create some users that will use our computer, and we will set up sudo for the root access. So we don't want someone just to log into our computer with the root user. We want to give one of our users or multiple users the privilege to use sudo and act as root without logging in as root. And we will also in the future videos work on some other things like installing video drivers and graphical user environment for those who don't want to live in the console all day. So internet connection, well, we only have root, and this is the only user we have at this moment, so we will have to log in as root in the beginning. So let's start up our virtual machine. And when we got to the boot menu, and let's load Arch Linux here. And while the system will boot up, we can log in as a root, and well, we already gave a root a password, so you should type in your root password, and well, we are logged in. And so you can try, maybe you want to check if there are any new packages and you want to update your system, but oh, everything is failing, you cannot connect to the internet. So let's ping archlinux.org, and well, temporary failure in name resolution, so there is no internet. What can we do? So well, if you are in a virtual machine, you will have very easy way to do that. But anyways, first we have to just check our interfaces. We'll check our interface using the ip-addr show command, and we can see we have like a LO, the loopback interface, and the ENS3, which is our broadcast multicast device. So if you have already watched my installation deep dive video, and actually my most watched video is on how to connect to the internet, because you have to connect to the internet from the live environment, and this will be very similar to that. So you can just go back to that video. That is my most popular upload ever, so if you are here you probably watched that one too. But anyways, just a reminder, if you have a wired connection with manual IP, so you don't have like a router or some other DHCP server that gives you an IP address, you will have to use the IP address add command. If you have a wired connection as dynamic with a dynamic IP, then you will have to run your DHCP CD client. So this is going to be like the daemon that is going to just always check and communicate with the DHCP server, and will get you an IP address. Or if you have a wireless connection, you will have to use the IWD suite which you should have installed from the live environment. I hope you installed it from the live environment. And well, you check the internet if it works, and well, if things work, you enable the systemd service. So just to clarify how this works, so in my case I have here a simple wired DHCP connection. So I will start the systemctl start DHCP cd at ENS3, because I will run on the ENS3 interface. And now let's ping nicemicro.com. You can see that there, first of all, you can see that there exists a server that responds to nicemicro.com. This is something you didn't know yet, I guess. And well, this computer or this virtual machine can connect to that server. That is very good. So things work, and so what I have to do is do the same thing, but systemctl enable, because in the future, so this is not a live environment, now we are on an installed system, so we want systemd just to remember that this service should be running, this daemon should be running anytime we boot up our computer. So we will systemctl enable dhcpcd at ENS3, and well, it creates a symlink that will basically ensure that every time we boot up our system, the internet connection, the IP address will be obtained and the internet connection will go live. And so if you have like the wireless setup, you have to do, just check back to my other video where I actually sit down at a laptop with a Wi-Fi adapter and I go through all these steps in the live environment. This is going to be very similar, but you will have to just in the end enable the service with the systemctl enable command, so it will run every time you boot your system up. So now this was really fast, I guess. So now we can update the system. So if you are following these videos like back to back and installing your own system while watching this series, then probably there will be nothing there for you to install, but maybe you install the system and put your computer away for a weekend or something, or for a week, and you come back next week maybe to finish installing stuff. Then it is a good idea to just run pacman-syu to update all the packages on your system. So let's just do that. And you can see we'll synchronize the databases slowly, and well, there is nothing to do. So in this stage we don't have that many packages installed on our system, so probably there won't be many updates anyways, but if there are, you want to make sure that everything is on the newest version, because if you have any troubleshooting always starts by ensuring that you are on the latest release. Okay, so our next step is going to be user management, because you don't want to log in as root. So maybe sometimes not just maybe, so on Arch Linux you will have to keep your system up to date, as maybe once a month, twice a month, once a week, twice a week. It's based on your preference how often you want to update, but whenever you want to update your system, you don't want to log out and log in as root. That wouldn't be a good idea. So it's a better idea to just basically create a user that has root access or has access to these kind of system administration tools. And well, we have to create users because you don't want, so that is like the last thing you want, is that you don't have any users on your system, only the root. That's never a good idea, of course. I hope the reason why is obvious. So if you are logged in as root, then whatever program you use that can do anything on the system, so you can accidentally delete important system files, or in an EFI system you can even accidentally make your computer unbootable if you delete some important EFI variables as root. So never ever log in as root unless, you know, some specific circumstance like you borked your system and sudo doesn't work anymore. Maybe then you can log in as root to troubleshoot some things, but in general, make users. We need users. And if you are interested in how to work with users, then there is like this great page on the general recommendations page, and under that there is like users and groups section, and this will guide you to this users and groups user management part, and here it will be discussed how to add new users. So maybe if at the first when you install your system you only want to add your own user, but maybe once the system is set up and is working well, maybe you will want to make, you know, users for each of your family members, so whomever sits down at the computer can log in to their own profile. And so this is like the very basic thing, is you can just use this user add command, and that is exactly what we are going to do. So we are going to add our own user here, and our user will be added to no groups at this point, but we can specify the shell. So we will use the bash shell, and we will use a username. We'll add the username. So let's just do it. So add user add. I always confuse this command, user add -m, and I am not doing anything with groups now. /bin/bash, and the nice micro will be our user here. And wow, it is done. And so we can check whether, you know, like we can cat out what's in etc/shells. So these are the available shells. Okay, so we created a user which has a home directory. We didn't add any other groups, and well, the main group of the user will be also created, and it will be same as the username, and we also set up the shell, and we also made sure that we set up a shell that was given in the etc/shells file, and then we can add a password to our user, which we will do. And we can also check out, we can use the id command and type in nice micro. You can see that the UID is, what is the UID, what is the GID, which is the group ID, and you can see that this is, the user is nice micro, and the group, the main group, which is in the middle there, that's also nice micro, and this user is only part of the group nice micro. So that's all nice and good. Let's create a password for our user. passwd is going to be the command, and we type in the username. Nice micro. If you don't type in a username, the current user's password will be changed. So we will type in a new password, and then we have to type it in again. And now the password is updated successfully, so I could exit and then type in nice micro and give my password, and now I'm logged in. But there is not much I can do. There is nothing in my home directory. Maybe if I do ls-la, yeah, I have bash logout, bash profile, and bash rc in my home directory, and pwd will tell us that I am in /home/nice micro, so the -m command worked and my home directory has been created. But I don't have any privileges. I cannot do much here, so let's just log back in as root now that we tested our login, and we will do the sudo. So we will install sudo to have root access. Of course, if you want to have like a overview of that, a better overview, you can go on the Arch wiki, which will give you a detailed description of the installation, usage, and configuration. Here we are going to go through the most important parts, like a typical kind of setup. So we are going to first install the package called sudo. That's going to be pacman-s sudo, and we will say yes to the installation, of course. It will retrieve the packages and install the packages. Nice. So once we have that, we should use the wheel group. So if you are interested about groups also on the Arch Wiki, you can check out these user groups part here. This is also the user and groups page on the wiki. Find this link in the description, I guess. And so there is this wheel group, which is basically the administration group. A lot of distributions use the wheel group. Some distribution will just create a new group called the sudo group. Anyways, and so basically you can use this wheel group to give sudo privileges. It has full access to a few things. You can just give like a admin the EDM group to someone if you don't want them to be able to have like the sudo, but should have some access to like journal files and stuff like that. Or you can add them to the systemd journal group. Anyway, so there are a lot of these kind of groups that have some kind of meaning under systemd and in Arch Linux, but we are not going to worry much about that. Let's just only worry about giving our user the access to the sudo command through the wheel group. And for that, first we have to add, of course, the user to the wheel group, and that will be the user mod command. So we use the user add to create a new user and use the user mod to modify the user. We use -a to append, so we're not going to overwrite the previous groups. We are going to just add a new group, and capital G because it's not going to be the primary group. The primary group for the user is going to be the same name as the username, and that also has a reason which I'm not going to talk about this time. Okay, so we are going to use the wheel group, and our username is nicemicro. So we can check ID nicemicro, that nicemicro is now nicemicro, main group is nicemicro, and the groups are nicemicro and wheel. So this is very nice. But this is in itself doesn't give the sudo privileges. We have to set up sudo to give privileges to the people who are in the wheel group, and we can use the vi sudo command for that. And vi sudo will basically open the sudoers file. So let's take a look. If I type in vi sudo, you can see that it opens a file which is called the sudoers file, and there is this big warning in the beginning that you must edit this file with the vi sudo command. If you edit just with the editor, then you can make some mistakes, and if these mistakes are made, the sudo program won't work and no one will be able to get root access. So never ever edit the sudoers file without the vi sudo. So always use vi sudo, because this is like a specific program for that. But if you are, so there is a big problem, huge problem. Vi sudo opens the sudoers file in the text editor vi, which is not something most people like, and most people don't know that you have to type colon and the q, colon q enter to exit. So colon q enter to exit from the vi program. But maybe you don't want to use vi just to edit the sudoers file. What can you do? Well, you can use the editor variable, and you can type in editor equals nano if you want to use nano, or in my case I want to use Vim, or maybe you want to use Emacs. Whatever you want, you can type in capital EDITOR. So this is like editor full caps equals Vim, and then vi sudo. And now you can see it's colorful because now it's in Vim. So we are going to give, just scroll down. So here basically specifies user privileges. The root user can execute all commands on all computers, whatever. And we also going to do the same for wheel. So I just deleted this leading hash symbol from the beginning. So now it is uncommented. It's not a comment, it's a command. So it's not a comment, it's a command now. And this, well, it specifies that the wheel user group members will have access to sudo. You can also, instead of that, you could go here and just uncomment like this line here, this wheel, and no password, so every command will run without password. Or if you don't like the wheel group, because the wheel group has other associations too, and you'd rather use the sudo group or whatever other group, you can use this to give other groups access to this sudo command. There are also some information up here that you could use. Just read through this file if you want to set up anything specific. Like a lot of things are available here. But anyways, we want to also change some default behavior, because in general when you use sudo and maybe you run a command and it asks for password and you fall asleep, and there will be a timeout, and no one gave any password there, but the timeout has passed and it will just error out. And so if there is a script that contains a sudo command, it can happen that you start the script is running maybe for 1 minute, you go out, make a coffee for yourself, then suddenly the script wants to run sudo and it asks for your password, but you are still drinking your tea or whatever, and well, at the time you come back, timeout has happened and the script failed and you have to start again. So we want to turn off this timeout because, well, it's just the password prompt. So even if someone, start the script, it asks for the password, and I don't know, maybe you fall asleep and someone breaks into your house and sees this prompt, they still have to type in your password. So this timeout doesn't really give you any security, so you can disable it. And maybe you wake up in the morning and your house was robbed, but your computer have not been compromised. You can just type in your sudo command or sudo password, and then the command will run and finish your script. For that we have to add defaults and just pass wd underscore timeout equals 0. So here, for example, I can make some space and type in defaults and pass wd underscore timeout equals 0. So this is one of the things you can do here. And well, there is also another timeout, which is the timestamp timeout. So if you have to execute more sudo commands in succession, like maybe first you update your system, then you want to remove some packages, then you want to install some packages, and these all need sudo, it will only ask for the first. In the first case, it will ask for password, and after the password will be valid for 3 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever you set up, and after that you have to type in your password again and again. So this is kind of more important for the security in a security question, so let's do that by adding another line called defaults timestamp underscore timeout equals 3, and let's you can save your file and exit your file, and if there is no error message, that means that you edited your sudoers file correctly. Good job. So let's exit from the root prompt because we don't have any more reason to use root. You can just log in with your user, and we can test by typing in, let's say, sudo pacman-syu, and you get the message from sudo that you should not abuse your power that comes with system administrator privileges. So you have to type in your own password, so not the root password, your own password, and the command will run. And you can see that, wow, we have just, yeah, you can see that there are always new updates in the Pacman database, and well, in these like 10 minutes or 15 minutes that the recording was happening, we got updates on our Arch Linux system. I'm not gonna update them right now, but what I want to show you is now that if you want to edit vi sudo, you can just use sudo editor equals vim, for example, and just say vi sudo, and now you have access to this vi sudo through sudo, so you don't have any reason to log in as a root anymore. You can add new people to the wheel group, or you can, you know, customize the sudoers group if you don't want, if you can make like a lesser administrative group where you can just specify which commands should be able to run with sudo, and a lot of things like that. For that, I highly recommend you read the Arch wiki for the sudo command. You can do a lot of things editing the vi with the vi sudo. And this is the end of our video today. So we went through the internet connection and user management. I hope you learned something new from this video, and I hope you had some fun. And if you are interested in further content on Arch Linux, and just regular free software stuff, just like this kind of tutorial style, like deep dive videos in certain topics, or just my opinions, you can always subscribe to the channel and share this video with people who want to install Arch Linux but are afraid that they won't understand what's going on, because it is good to understand and learn new things and try out new things. And also give me a like or thumbs up or upvote or whatever if you enjoyed this video, and leave a comment down below if you want to get into an internet argument with me. And I guess we will see each other next time. Bye bye.